Welcome to the next episode of Serving Spirit, a show that helps promote healing for the mind, body, and soul. My name is Connie Smock, also known as Connie, Warrior of Light, and I am super excited to introduce my next guest all the way from Singapore. This is a very interesting business that he has, spiritually focused jewelry artisan. That is incredible because obviously those who know me know that I absolutely love crystals and I can't get enough of them. And I have totes and totes and totes and totes of them. Following my move, I probably need to pare some of those down, but I don't know how I can get rid of them because they're like my kids. So, Sean Ben is here with us today. Again, super excited. He specializes in gemstones, in crystals that is specifically designed for you. So share with us today, Sean. Thank you again for being here all the way from Singapore. And what exactly is it? What does that mean to have a jewelry artisan? What does that mean and a healer with this?
Hi, greetings everyone. Thank you for the very beautiful introduction, Connie. So just a brief about what I do. I am a jeweler, so the traditional things that you think of where it comes to diamonds, rubies, sapphires. But the main thing is that this practice is more focused towards energetic sensitivity. So people who can feel energies, people who are healers, people who are seekers on the path to their own realization. Mainly the gems are used to support them in their journey. And the main thing of my work is that to basically help others who are like myself, because since I was a child, I have noticed this sensitivity towards energies in places and in people. So if I were to be on a bus or on a train, I would feel extremely exhausted because most people around us are actually very drained, frustrated, or unhappy. So at that time, the term empath wasn't yet known to me. So I just felt like, okay, what on earth is all this about? Is this a psychological issue? Is there something wrong with me? Why do I always feel so tired just stepping out of the house? So what happened was when I was 8 years old, I had a classmate who brought his rock set. So you have those science kits where they bring like little rock samples that comes from, I think, a National Geographic subscription. So he brought this little lapis lazuli. It wasn't the best quality, but the moment I saw it, I knew I had to have it. So that became my very first crystal. And lo and behold, the moment I held on to it, I did feel a subtle, or rather, at that time it was quite major because I never felt a shift like that. But there was an easing in the pain, or rather the imbalance of energies within myself. So that got me really curious because I never knew a stone could do that. Because if we think about it, we have clothes to clothe our body, but we don't have anything to clothe our hearts and our emotional bodies. So stones are the literal physical manifestations which can be used to support this state of ours. So that actually sparked my coming to 2.5 decades of self exploration and experimentation with different crystals, rocks, gems, and minerals, more to find out about what they actually do. Because I was always driven by the desire to find out what actually can help with this empathic condition, what can help me tune, what can help me balance, what can help protect. So it literally became a collection and it became a shop's worth of a collection because there are many books out there, but I feel the best teacher has always to be oneself because there are many different opinions. But at the end of the day, it's not what the author says that is important, but what the person themselves are feeling, what can they actually validate through their own experience. That is the most important learning. So rather than trust any authors or teachers, I wanted to work with different stones to really find out did they do what they said it would do, and also to discover for myself what exactly does it do on me. And if I'm able to sense it, then perhaps there could be a way to help others who are going through the same condition. So again, it became from rock samples in 8 years old, all the way to now fine gemstones. I'm now 32, so that has been a 24-year journey. So I can say I have literally tested almost every gem and stone mineral out there, except the radioactive ones because I think those are bad for health. So the normal crystals in a crystal store, yeah, I've already tried and tested those, and then also moved on from crystal healing to also do gem healing, where I incorporate gemstones in the astrological tradition of the Vedic Hindu traditions called Jyotish. So that is the astrological aspect of using gems. So okay, I know I'm going on too much, but yeah,
No,
that's
this is
just
great. Keep going.
so I think, yeah, so that would describe what I do in terms of energetics, in terms of stones, my relationship with stones, and how I know what works and what doesn't. But just something from the outset, I just want to say again, whatever I'm sharing is my own personal experience and my own opinion. If your experience is different, please honor that, because your own energy and your own response to natural materials is what matters, because at the end of the day, you will know what works and what doesn't, and you must trust yourself because you will know you. Mm.
That's beautiful. Now, since eight, that's how you know you're living your life purpose. You said you were 8 years old. That's
Eh, I guess it's more like the looking backwards. Yes, perhaps that could have been the early signs that I am now living my purpose. But trust me, the 8 years old till the 32-year-old me, this whole life journey was like a mess. Like when I was going through it, I was like, am I mad? Am I crazy? It wasn't pleasant. So this whole
yeah.
life purpose, life journey thing, it always sounds good in retrospect, but moving forward towards it is kind of like, oh my God, please help me. Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing. I love how you said that when you're going through it, right? It's not beautiful. It doesn't feel beautiful because you're struggling and you struggle so much, right? I think this is very important for the viewers to hear this because if you're struggling, I always say that your soul is growing. Your soul's trying to get you to see something. For you, it was moving into your life purpose because if you had not gone through all of that, you wouldn't really have the empathy or the experience to be able to understand what people are going through. So you made it your life's mission to be able to help people through something where people can take control of themselves instead of feeling like there's outside sources controlling them, right?
Mm.
Because everything is energy. So this is phenomenal. So tell us how is it that you would be able to know and I find this very fascinating because this is the first time I've ever heard of something like this. Um, how you use the Vedic astrology, so the gemstones that are specifically for a person that could help them in different ways. Let's start by just quickly, if you could tell us the process of how you come about making the jewelry for a person.
Mm. Okay, so there are two traditions or rather methods I follow. One being the crystal healing path, which is the more straightforward to explain. And the slightly more complex one would be the Vedic astrological talismans. So let me explain, I'll share a little bit about both and then talk about how I work with them or how I create the pieces. So in my own understanding of stones, I feel that every single natural material has a different energy and a different purpose. And the thing is that we already intuitively know what we need. So let's say when someone enters a crystal store for the very first time, of course, it can be a buzz because there's like so many different energies, but somehow or other, you would always single out the stones that you require at that point in time. So it's always no coincidence when you are drawn to, let's say, a moldavite or a tektite or a prehnite. All these stones speak to us, and it's also a intuitive exercise where you can actually discover that, hey, your choices are valid. Everything that you chose is actually good for you. And the thing is that for crystals, the way I would say is there are varying types of qualities. So there could be very high quality ones and there could be really poor quality ones. And the very high quality ones, if they are of a certain family of minerals, then those would be called gemstones, such as diamonds, rubies, sapphires. I mean, technically they are gemstones, but they are basically from crystals, right? The best part of that gem is actually extracted and then faceted or polished to be the gemstone that we set in jewelry. But the main thing to know is that these are actually all crystals. When people talk about the scientific description, I mean, the definition is that it was a crystal form and then it got polished and then it's now called a gemstone. So the most perfect part of a crystal gets cut and then gets set in high-end jewelry or basically those that you see in accessories. So the thing is that since every natural material has an energy and we can already feel or know what we need by being drawn to them, so it's kind of trusting that process of, hey, I love that green color. What is that stone? I like to touch it, feel it, get to know it more, work with it. So that is the crystal healing process for me. It's more of a getting to know the stone and what exactly does it do to my energetic body? What does it do to my emotions? Does it inspire my thoughts? Does it change the energy in my surroundings or change the energy I am giving off? So, okay, yeah, I can go on. Hold on, I lost my
Yeah,
tangent. But the
no, that's okay. It's about, yeah, God,
So,
good.
in terms of trusting your senses, yeah. So the point I want to bring up is about trusting one's sense when it comes to crystals. So if you step into a crystal store, whatever you're drawn to, yeah, just try it, work with it before reading anything about that particular stone. Why not just pick it up, discover how it interacts with you, your own sensations, your own feelings towards it, and then start building your one's own vocabulary because then you know what works and what doesn't work and what is placebo and what is true. Because a lot of times when something is told to us, we see it as the only version of how that works. So if you told me that, oh, this is like for grounding, so you think, oh, this is only for grounding. But hey, when you work with it, it could actually work on other areas of the body that you would never have expected. So this can only be discovered if you really work with the tools. So I call stones tools because they are tools in our self-development, tools in our healing, tools in our exploration. So yeah, the secrets only come out when you work with them for a long enough time and trust your own sense when you're working with them. So that's for crystal healing. So crystal healing is about trusting and working with the stones that you are drawn to. And sometimes even the ones which you are repulsed, which you find repulsive, could actually be helping to unblock stuff. But yeah, that will be for another day. And then when it comes to gem therapy, the thing is, so after a decade or so into crystal healing, when I started the Kriya Yoga meditation path, I came across the works of an Indian saint. So I think he could be familiar to most people in the West because when Steve Jobs passed away, this was the book that he gave to everyone who attended his funeral. So it's actually called Autobiography of a Yogi. So the man pictured here is Sri Paramhansa Yogananda, and he is a saint, a God-realized saint. So regardless of any religion, basically this is someone that's very advanced and very developed. And the thing is that this book chronicles his life. And for me, I've always struggled with the different opinions on crystals because every teacher has a different opinion and every teacher wants to sound more knowledgeable and give more grandiose claims of like what a stone can do so it becomes more exciting, who knows, maybe to sell more of their stones or whatnot. But the thing is that there are very few god realized individuals or people who are of very high spiritual development who actually commented on using crystals or gems. So there are two chapters in this book, chapter 16 and chapter 17, which actually talks about how his guru, so Sri Paramhansa Yogananda's guru, Sri Yukteswar, he is a very wise saint, and he was the one that advised his disciple, Paramhansa Yogananda, on using gemstones and the astrological bangle, which is made up of pure gold, pure silver, and pure copper. So if we look at it, the pure metals are technically crystals because gold crystallizes, silver crystallizes, so does copper. And when you use them in their pure form, you're literally, yeah, wearing silver, gold, and copper as crystallized, but around your arm. So that actually strengthens our aura. And when our aura is strengthened, when we have negative and challenging periods in our lives, it actually acts like a buffer so that we can withstand the challenges and the karmic return of things. So the other part, so besides the bangle, the usage of in this case, in the story, sapphires was actually mentioned. So when the guru mentioned some parameters about gems, gem therapy for the Vedic usage, where it has to be at least 2 carats, unheated, untreated basically, and natural gems, and as faultless gems basically. So they have to be very clean, very clear stones with no inclusions, and they cannot be treated, and they have to be of a minimum size of 2 carats, and they have to be worn touching the skin. So these are the important things to observe, because a lot of times when we wear gemstones and jewelry, they are set in a commercial manner where they are basically just trying to make it as sparkly or as bright or as attractive as they possibly can. So that could mean either they had to treat the gem. So if the gem was not so bright, for example, they may heat it to make the color more exciting. So a simple example, like in the crystal world, would be how amethyst is heated to create citrine. So that's an example of a treatment. But we do not want that in gem therapy because these stones will be working very closely with us. And the fact that they have to touch our skin, so my understanding would be it actually affects our energetic sheath. So the outer layer and the electrical conductivity is actually enhanced or improved when we have the correct gem on the correct finger touching our skin. And I know this isn't mentioned commonly in the Western world because there's a lot of marketing about how like, oh, every month there's a special birthstone, and if you wear your birthstone, it's good for you. Um, Not to be a party pooper, but the truth is this was invented by the gemstone industry because they had to find a way to make gems more marketable. So if you focus on a different gem for every single month, you can move sales, right? More people will buy that stone that month. But the reality is that for Vedic astrology, because every 2 hours, the signs change. So let's say 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. The sign may no longer be Libra. It could move on. And the thing is, if you wear the wrong gem, it's actually more harmful than helpful. And also, of course, the financial wastage is also there, right? Because if you buy a good gemstone and you spend a lot of money and you realize, hey, it's actually harming me rather than helping me, then that's quite a waste. So basically, the Vedic tradition is very wise. They use this very natural, very pure, very concentrated energies, which are found in crystals, which are now gems because they're the best part. And then they have it touching the skin so that when we wear it, we are strengthened, our own energetic field is strengthened. And when it is strengthened, our aura is stronger and we can face our challenges more effectively because everybody goes through challenging times. And the challenging times, of course, are here to help us. The stone will not magically take the problem away, but it will grant the strength because if we think about it, stones are very solid and steady sources of support in the sense that your vibrations are very constant. So if you have something that is on you, helping you to keep that state constant, even if you're going through challenging times, you will not dip too badly. You can still have a certain crutch per se. And the thing is, for gem therapy, the thing I loved about it is that, there are many different ways of thinking nowadays where they're like, oh, you wear this for good luck, for good health, for good this, good that. Um, Again, not to be a party pooper, like for those that say, oh, you wear this stone and then you'll have like success or that you have lots of money. I believe that since we are in the material world, there are things that need to be done. There is no free ride. And if you can buy a stone and it can magically shift your life around, then the gem dealer would be the richest person on earth because he has all the citrine to manifest his abundance and be super rich. But we all can see that it's not the case. Everybody still has to do their business, still has to do their daily best. But in a sense, the stones will support and will help us as we put in our best effort to move forward in life. And at the same time, it supports us in our spiritual growth because when we have a weakened or muddy, cloudy aura, we may not make the best decisions. But when our aura is strengthened, when we are clear, when we can see clearly, we make better choices. And when we make better choices, then we can keep moving forward in the right path. The sources. Okay, so let me do a little lesson. I did bring or put like some pieces around so that this would make the explanation easier. So we would have a little mini class on stones, starting from the rough all the way to polished and faceted. So hold on, yeah. Let me
Nice.
just put my teaching materials here.
I
Okay,
love this.
so so let's start with the story. Let's start with a specific family of minerals, okay? So it is the quartz family. Is this clear? Okay, let me just do this. Okay, so this is a quartz crystal, all right? This is a very clear example of it, all right? So in
Mm-hmm.
the quartz family, there are many different colors, all right? So there could be yellow quartz, which we all know to be citrine, like this. So this is citrine, smoky citrine to be specific, all right? And the thing is, what you are now seeing is actually a natural point. So this is how a citrine crystal naturally crystallizes. So when it crystallizes, this is its natural innate intelligence as per nature. So this is how it forms. So citrine is SiO2, which is silicon oxide, which is quartz, that also has iron impurities. That's why it has the color yellow. If it grew in an environment where there were no impurities, then it would just be quartz. All right. So this is the basic part of explaining what a crystal is. Okay. It is that pure compound of silicon dioxide in this case, which is quartz. Now, just now your question regarding tumbles and faceted gems. Okay, so what is a tumble? This is a tumble. So this is a natural citrine and it is tumbled. So a tumble basically means the crystal went through some sort of polishing. So they would take the chunk of stones because when they extract crystals, sometimes they smash them, they whack them to get it out of the rock. And it's not very pretty, it's very rough, it's very sharp. So they actually have to make it saleable and safe for people to carry and collect. So they would put it in a tumbler and they would just tumble it. So there would be like polishing compounds in that tumbler, along with other loads of other crystals of the same hardness, so that they would polish and scratch each other over a course of weeks as they are being tumbled to achieve this polish. Okay, so this is a tumble. Okay, and then, so let me contrast again. This is a natural crystal point. It is not polished. This is highly lustrous because the points, okay, one thing to observe, this type of a luster, so luster is that surface quality of that shine per se. This cannot be achieved by human polishing. This is from nature. So if you find a
Mm.
very beautiful piece of quartz, please treasure it because a lot of them are damaged in the process of extraction. Okay, so this is perfect, right? You see, nature is amazing. This has not gone through any polishing. It was just extracted from the ground, but it is so clear, so clean, and so bright. Okay, so that's clear quartz. And again, let me show you, this is a natural citrine. This is a smoky citrine because it is yellow with a tinge of brown, hence the smoky term. Okay, again, this is an example of a natural crystal that has not been polished by man. You can see all these sparkly lines, the ridges. Okay, so let me show you what a polished point looks like. So when they got a citrine crystal that may have lots of damages on the surface, to make it more pretty, they may polish it such that it kind of retains some of its natural crystal shape. But you can now see, can you see the surface luster is not the same as the earlier two pieces I just showed? Like this is more a man polished finish. So this is what happens when we use a machine to do the polishing. So let me contrast this with the natural quartz again. So you can see how a natural luster looks like in comparison. Can you see the difference in the brilliance, the shine? Okay,
Yes. Yeah.
you can see it's more, it's
Wow.
just, right? The shine is just
Sparkling.
different, right? And this is also
Mhm.
polished, but it's not the same, right? Yeah. Okay. You must pardon me because the video camera isn't the best way to convey the beauty and color of stones. But yeah, do let me know if there's any part I
No, you
can't
can
help.
see it. Yeah, no,
Okay.
very cool.
So that's the difference between natural, a tumble, and a polished free form. I guess this would be considered a free form because it's not exactly a polished point. Yeah. And then, yeah, so that's for the crystal basics. So when you enter in a crystal store and you see like, oh, loads of these things, these are called tumbles. And then these are called natural crystal points. And these are polished points or freeform stones. Yeah. So when it comes to a gemstone, so the difference then would be, so let me use this as an example. So, hold on, let me just get this. So this is a yellow sapphire, and this is,
Gorgeous.
thank you, this is natural and unheated. So for this one, it's more of a light goldeny yellow, but you can see, so this is a faceted gem. So this is what you call faceted. So it's been cut. That's why it's so shiny and so brilliant.
That
Yeah.
is, I might have to, is that one for sale? You know, everyone that you show me, I'm going to want to buy.
Yeah. Okay, so so that's a mini explanation on stones. Now, every different stone has a different form of crystallization. So therefore, not every stone will look like a clear quartz. So I specified that, okay, we are going to start with the quartz family. So quartz has citrine and it also has amethyst. So amethyst is the purple, very dark or very rich purple member of the quartz family. Yeah, this is amethyst. So so what was I trying to say? So yeah, that's the family of quartz. So same thing, as quartz has different colors, sapphires as a family also have different colors. So fun fact, so that was a yellow sapphire. But if you
Hmm.
have a blue sapphire, it's also from the sapphire family. So they are all natural stones, okay, but they can have many different colors, all based on the minerals that were around when they crystallize. So they have different colors due to the chemical composition of those minerals. And also, a ruby is basically a member of the sapphire family. It's just that it's given its own name because it's so precious and valuable. So, in the same vein, aquamarines and emeralds are of the same family as well. They are just different colors. Yeah, that's the beryl family of crystals. Yes.
I mean, I could talk all day crystals with you, and I really need that blue sapphire ring also. Just see, I have a big, huge bill by the time we're done with this.
Yeah.
Okay, that is phenomenal. Does it, when you tumble it or you polish it, does it diminish the efficacy um
Mm.
or the quality of the vibration or does it diminish the frequency of the energy of the stone?
You know, this is the thing which I've started to observe from dealing with different healers because for those that come to me, they know they need like an energetic tool. So, but their specifications are very different. Some people love natural raw crystals, which are perfect from nature, but some people prefer polished points because they're just easier to carry. So,
Mhm.
okay, let me explain this in a roundabout way because it's not a direct answer, but rather, I guess it's all about, firstly, it's about personal preference because to some people, they feel they connect better when a mineral is in its raw, perfect form. Like if it comes from nature, they like it, they feel there's more power. But
Mhm.
again, a polished crystal, so talking about gemstones, a gemstone, a faceted gem, is a polished crystal in that definition, right? It's been polished by man. However, it's still powerful because in Vedic gem usage, we have to use gemstones. And whether or not it's powerful, I would say it all depends on I mean like the essence of the stone itself, because there could be many different pieces of quartz, but some are weak, some are strong. And when you work with stones enough, you will just kind of know, like, okay, this one, oh, that one, oh no, that one is nothing. This is just sparkly, but there's no life. So it's unusual because they could be the same material, but not all of them express that same type of energy or vibrancy. So what I would rather say is when choosing stones, trust what you are drawn to. And when you get more sensitive, or if you are already sensitive, then good for you because you would know immediately what works and what doesn't. But if you're not sensitive, then you will definitely, I would highly suggest this, find a shop that you can trust and go to them. Because the world of crystals and gems takes quite a bit of learning. You either learn it through your own pocket by making lots of mistakes, or you can always go to a better store that you know will take care of you. And yeah, just trust them because ultimately not everyone's going to be buying stones every day, right? So best to go to the ones which have been in business for a long time, that you can connect with the seller because everyone's relationship is different. So again, go to a place where you're comfortable, okay? Because there are crystal shops which feel gross from the beginning. Like you're just like, no, I'll never step in there. And trust your feeling. If you feel it's a no, it's a no. And if it's a yes, then go in, feel, touch, and then see whether you feel the difference yourself. Because whether or not it's polished, whether or not it's natural, they all have energies. And it's all about the personal connection to that energy. And if you can use it, good for you. If you cannot, then, well, slowly develop your relationship with them.
That's
Did I
great
answer your question?
advice.
Did I miss
Yes,
out
yes,
anything?
thank you. It's interesting because I've heard this also that you don't really pick the crystal picks you. Like, you're going to be drawn to the crystal that is going to be good for you. So, yeah.
Can I share some things about that? So,
Yes.
the best examples of this is, let's say, for example, a stone, right? So people would think like, yeah, that's just bullshit. Like, like this doesn't happen. Like, what do you mean the stone chooses you? So the way I observe how this works is about timing. Let's say today this stone just arrived. Okay, I just unwrapped it, I just received it, and the thing is, all of a sudden I get a call from my longtime client that, hey, can we meet today? I'd like to see some stones. And it turns out like, oh wow, immediately this person wants it, and it's like the timing was just, it just came, the call just came, and then it went over there. So the timing is perfect. And sometimes some people actually want a stone, but just before arriving, that stone literally just got sold to someone else. So it's like the stone chose or called the person to come, call, and then get it. And then the other person was like, I just missed it by 5 minutes. Like, how do you explain that? And this happens quite a lot of times, especially for the energetically lively ones. I feel they all have a purpose because to me, stones, especially when it comes to the high quality ones, they are extremely limited. And again, it is unfortunate because they are very highly priced. So even if you want to work with them, the chance of owning one is actually very rare because there's only so many high quality ones around. And when they do come, they're in such demand that you may not even get a chance to see it because literally someone who knows stones would have like, oh, immediately bought it the moment they saw. There's no like, oh, let me think about it. It's like, I need that now, I'm going to get it, and then gone. So I feel there is a certain fate involved with gems and crystals. So yeah, it's all about synchronicity. Like if it's yours, it's really yours. Some things, yes, you may have lots of money, but sometimes if the timing just doesn't pan out, it doesn't go to you. So it doesn't always go to the highest buyer.
And this what something like this, would this
Mm.
be, is this naturally occurring?
Okay, so this, from the shape, it looks like a double terminated quartz. However, okay, as you are moving it, yes, it's still very shiny, but from what I'm gauging, all right, because some of the facets are slightly curved, I feel it's been man polished. It's not a,
I
yeah,
don't know if you
it is a
can.
natural stone, but it has been polished to give that surface shine. Hmm.
Interesting.
Let me try
Um,
and find an example. Uh, Please excuse me for one
yeah,
minute. Let me grab some samples so that we can do a show and tell. Yes, one moment.
I love show and tell. This is
From
great.
fire. Yes. Okay, so now we go back to the topic of Lemurian quartz. So I have a
Yes.
few examples because they are so-called. Okay, Lemurian quartz are basically quartz which have these horizontal striations along the
Hmm.
length of them. And the thing is that there were different finds in different places at different times. So there are Colombian Lemurian quartz, there are Brazilian Lemurian quartz. And because this striation can happen in quartz from literally any part of the world. It's just that the first find was actually in Brazil. And it was a very interesting find because the people who dug those huge crystals out actually found that they were so neatly arranged, like they were planted there. Like normally for quartz crystals, when you find them in the mine, they're like, they're sprouting everywhere. Then you have to like smack it out of the rock and then extract it. These were like buried in what I recall to be soft soil, so that when they plucked it out, it was like one after one after one,
Oh,
like giant crystals. So yeah, anyone interested, you can go and Google. I think there's some YouTube videos still out there. Yeah, so that's why that was like a very magical find. And the thing is, even after that mine or that area was depleted, they still found quartz that have horizontal striations elsewhere. Okay, so I'm just going to
mm.
show some examples of those so that if you come across pieces like that, you can kind of start to identify what they are and perhaps also where they come from. Okay, so this one is a Colombian Lemurian quartz. Can you see how bright it is? It's so clear
Hmm.
that it's like glowing. Let me see whether I can show. Again, this has some damage because when they extracted it, it must have knocked around. But you can see the lines are so obvious, and the the taper, can you see like how some parts are like, especially this part? See, yeah, hold on. Let me arrange. So particularly this side of the quartz, it is
Mm-hmm.
thinner this part and thicker this part. Like, can you see the
Yes.
raised ridge?
Yep.
Yeah, so those are the very pronounced ones. Yeah, so if you find Lemurian, I mean, these are my personal favorites. Like to find those with very pronounced ridges and the differences in the height. Yeah. So
Beautiful.
yeah. And then the earlier one that I showed was more of this is a Brazilian one, but again, it's also very high clarity.
Oh,
See?
wow. Yeah,
And can you
that's
see that? You can see,
beautiful.
yeah, you can see the area where it is thicker and then the area where it's thinner, slightly because of the ridge. So you want those with ridges. Yeah, the more pronounced the ridge, the more Lemurian. Yeah.
Okay, because this one
And
has ridges when,
there are lines,
but
there are striations, definitely.
so it's hard to see them, but they're kind of faint, but I can feel them more
Mm,
so, and you can see little striations in there.
mm.
It's
I
hard to
guess
see on the camera.
the main thing it is a natural crystal. It's
Oh,
a quartz, and the thing it's you can see right the end
there
that
you
you're
go.
holding upwards has many self-healed points. So can you see like the termination of your quartz has like many quartzes above?
Yes.
This part, yes. So this is self-healed, and there are so many healed points. You see so many points, so many terminations sprouting out from your this end of the crystal.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's
yeah.
So this is a true quartz with a self-healed termination. So this is one termination, and when you flip it over, the other side is a single or double term. Can I see your other termination of the quartz?
The other
The flip.
side.
Yeah, see? So it terminates to a single
Oh,
point.
you're right. And there's two of them.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's two. So this is like a twin, like they grew
Oh, and
together.
actually, there's another small, there's so many. There's another little
Mm.
small one within. There's tons of little ones. It's really kind of cool. This is a really cool.
You you are holding a very good teaching example because this has quite a few formations in one. Okay, so first of all, it's a natural quartz. It is double terminated because it has two ends. One end which has the single point and a twin. So there are two quartzes grown together as a twin, and they both end in a self-healed point which has multiple terminations. Yes, this end. And
It's
then
hard.
again, from the sides, you can see there are many other quartz crystals that are kind of like attached to this main crystal. So this one on the side is something called a bridge because it's like linked like a bridge.
This here.
Yes, yes. And then as you go further down, there are some that look like they are penetrated into the quartz itself. Yeah, like this one. Yes, the lower one. Yeah, that's a penetrator quartz. So each of them are like specific formations and they have different purposes. Yeah, you can definitely Google those terms and then find out what they mean. Yeah, and whether they resonate for your healing purpose. Because there are some of those which are called like chisel tips, and they're very helpful because you want to chisel away things. So it's like sometimes the terminology used is self-explanatory for the healing usage. Yeah.
Very cool. This I know, and I bet you we could do probably 4 or 5 hours just on quartz crystals. I mean, literally, there's so much. But and speaking of the quartz, you mentioned programming them.
Mm,
How does somebody, and obviously you would probably want to clear, would you want to clear a quartz crystal or any type of crystal when you first get it after
mm.
you someone else has had it?
Okay, so I think this is very important. This is like crystals 101. The most important thing is about cleansing. All right.
Mhm.
So let me find a good example. Eh, let me bring up my Palo Santo so people have an idea how it looks like. Hold on now, one moment, please.
Sure.
One, because I think
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
okay, I think this is going to be a very good Crystal Basics 101 because anybody that's new to crystals, I think this could be really helpful because energetic hygiene is very important. A lot of times when crystals come from the ground, yes, there could also be negative entities that could also be inside them because you must know that crystals have been around for millions of years and there are other things that are in the earth for millions of years as well. And sometimes they take refuge in the crystal. So you just want to make sure the crystal is first off safe for you to use yourself and that it's not carrying anything unwanted. And besides unwanted things, there could also be negative emotions and energies attached because think about it, the poor miner that is overworked and really tired, having to extract stone, so his frustration could go to the stone. The many
Mm.
hands of the stone dealers who are obviously thinking like, okay, how much can I make? How much do I sell it for? And all those other things. So there's lots of contamination in that sense. So basically, it's just like buying a pair of undergarments, right? You would definitely wash them before you wear them. So please think of stones in the same way. Hygiene, hygiene, hygiene. So this is the way to do laundry for your crystals. So every once in a while, after working with your stones, you feel they are sluggish or not as bright as they once were. So these are all like some ways of describing when you know a stone is tired or dirty or it has really been working hard. So what you need is basically get yourself some sage. So it looks like this, like a bundle, okay? Again, this could be a little critique of sage. So you want to find sage which is good quality because they burn very nicely. And what I mean is that, let's say if I were to pluck out a leaf, if it burns, okay, fire safety, every time you burn anything, please make sure you have a dish or a bowl or something to contain it. Okay, so let me try and show an example. So if I were to light this, I can tell the quality of the sage by how well it burns. Okay, so see the flame is just going and going and going. I'm going to get myself tweezers so I don't burn myself. But okay, you can see it's just burning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the smoke is just constantly burning. So you know this sage is of good quality. The terrible sage is when you try and light it and halfway it just extinguishes by itself. So those are not that great. And you will know how frustratingly annoying it is because each time you need to reach for your lighter or the candle, then yeah, you won't really like it. But see, the good one just keeps burning and burning and burning. And you
Mm-hmm.
can test it from just one leaf. And one leaf is enough to clear and cleanse your crystal. So all you need to do is with the leaf here, have your crystal over it, and just have the intention to cleanse. May the smoke go over the stone, cleanse it in whatever tradition, whatever way you want to do it, but just make sure the crystal is bathed in the smoke. And sometimes quite peculiar things can happen. You notice sometimes the smoke literally goes like 90 degrees away from the stone. So you definitely know that needs cleansing because there's something there that doesn't want to get out.
Mm.
But when you do this, see, it's like, I mean, my stones have been cleansed, so they're not much of an
Yeah.
issue. But you can just run it through, you can leave it there for 10 seconds or however long you feel it needs to be cleansed. Okay. And then once done, yeah, your stone is safe and ready to use. So snap this out, fire safety, make sure you, yeah, dab out the ember and just like, yeah. Okay, so I snapped it up. So you see, just one leaf of sage is enough to cleanse a crystal. You don't need the whole bunch. All right. I guess you need a whole bunch if you need to cleanse your house, your room, or anything. But again, please exercise fire safety. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, keep them here. Put this away. So the thing is for stones, how do you program them? So every time you buy a crystal, it's simple actually. Everybody and anybody does intention, right? Like we have hopes, we have dreams. So sometimes when you buy a stone, it's like, okay, I wish for more guidance, more direction. So after cleansing your crystal, you can hold it in your hands, you can hold it in your heart area, whichever way you feel is sacred and respectful. You can call on to whoever and however you address the divine, okay? Stones. Okay, so this is my personal opinion. The earth, everything is created by the creator in whatever tradition, whatever you want to call it. Stones have no religion, okay? They are as natural as human beings are. Just as how the creator created human beings, the creator also created crystals. There is no religion to crystals, there's no rules or anything. It is all about that personal connection. So same thing, why use crystals? So sometimes when we take medication, it's because we have a certain pain we want to get rid of. So we use crystals because there are some perhaps energetic pains that we want to clear, right? Because not everything is on a physical level. There are things on the emotional level, energetic level, and eating medication is not going to solve that heartbreak, right? You may need like something like a pink opal or a rose quartz to help in your healing. So let's say if it's a heartbreak, for example, you can have your rose quartz or your pink opal. So example, this is a slab of pink opal crystal. It's a natural stone. You can just have it and then set the intention. Please heal, restore me back to balance, heal my heart, grant me strength. whatever flows to your mind, whatever makes sense to you at that moment. There are no rules. You will know best because you are using this for your own healing and your own journey. Okay. And then, however it is your crystal, if it's wearable, you can wear it touching your skin. So I know many people like to wear like outside and it's like, oh, it's nice and beautiful. But I highly suggest find a way, like if it's a ring or a bracelet or a pendant, have it set where it can touch your skin such that you are really absorbing and enjoying it. And yeah, feel the difference. If you're just wearing crystals on the outside, try wearing it, touching your skin, see if you feel it's magnified. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then yeah, it's fine. Just sharing some suggestions and ideas. And the other thing is that whenever you feel the crystal has done a lot of work, just cleanse it and yeah, learn how the cleansing process is like. So you also can trust your intuition there. Again, there are no rules, but I would suggest find a method that works best for you. The reason why I mentioned sage is because sage has been very effective for me, as well as Palo Santo, which is like a wood. But I would normally buy my Palo Santo in the form of either cones or like an incense stick because these burn very easily. Sometimes if you buy the wood one, it just extinguishes halfway and gets really frustrating. So for me, I like a nice clean burn for my smudging tools, my cleansing tools. And so far, the things I've used have been like incense based because those smoke compounds, it's using plant medicine basically. The energies from the plant world also supports the mineral world. So for people who are used to frankincense, frankincense is also great. You can also use myrrh, different types of resins. But again, yeah, see what works for you. All right. But there are some cleansing methods which to me did not really work. That's why I don't really mention them. But that's for me. Okay. If you are skilled at those other areas, do what works for you. Yeah. Okay. Did I cover it all? Yes, I think so.
Yes, very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, for you want to cleanse it first, and then for programming it, you can program it to do whatever you want, whether it's healing,
Mm,
whether it's success, whether it's manifesting,
mm.
relationships, anything that you want. It's really all about intention, pure intentions, correct?
Yes, and I would highly suggest please set the intention for it to be like a self-directed purpose in a sense that it cannot be like, please make that
Mm.
person blah blah blah. No, don't do that. It's
Mm.
more of a okay, please support me, grant me such or rather, how I say, please support me such that I may have the clarity to go through this and then yeah, so that I may break out of the addiction, so that I may have more clarity, make wiser choices. So you can think of it like a mindfulness tool as well. If you think this is all like bullshit nonsense, it's fine. You can treat it like just a reminder. But for people who can feel, yeah, you can feel the sensation and yeah, just absorb the good vibes. And the thing is, why I tell people to not read the crystal books first is because placebo is a very big issue. Because for me, if I were to work with a mineral, I would like to know what it does by my own self exploration. Because only then will I know it's truly working, right? If someone told me that, oh yeah, this is gonna clear your migraine. So I would already imagine that. So I mean, placebo does have its positive effects, but the point is we want to make sure that the crystals that we are using actually have a proper purpose. Like it's not only working because we imagine it to work. If you're sensitive to stone energies, it doesn't require belief. Like you can feel it and oh, it's doing this, it's clearing this, it's balancing that. I feel that's the most useful because then you get to really get the most out of your tools.
Mhm. Yes, no, I totally agree. And going back to quality, I know one I feel like this is a hot stone that people are purchasing recently. I shouldn't say recently, but it has created more awareness for people because more and more people are becoming more evolved spiritually. So they're looking for moldavite. I know that's kind of like a
Mm,
hot stone. I know that there are different variations, and there's also some fakes out there.
mm.
So if you wouldn't mind, Sean, just maybe briefly explaining like how can you tell a fake moldavite versus a real moldavite? And well, we'll stick with that one. That's probably a good one right there.
Mm. Okay, so to start with, let us first discuss what is a moldavite. So a moldavite is actually, in essence, a natural glass, and it is a glass that was formed when a meteor actually crashed into the earth and melted the soil because the impact is so great and the heat is so large. It's such a huge amount of heat, right? The soil literally got vaporized the moment the meteor crashed onto the earth and it was so hot that it created natural glass. Like glass is basically melted sand. So this sand was created when the meteor, which is it could be metallic, it could be a stony meteor, it could be an iron nickel meteor, but basically whatever was in that meteor fused with the earth's soil and it formed into this very special green colored natural glass. Now, moldavite is a term for a tektite. So just now we talked about quartz being a family, right? So
Hmm.
moldavite comes from a family called tektites, which are impactites, which means materials which are formed when a meteor crashes into the earth. So in the impactite family, there are various colors. There are black colored tektites like these. These are black, but they have, because they are of the same family, you will notice they have the same crystal patterns, or rather the characteristics are roughly the same, but you roughly can tell. It's just that this is black. And moldavite is deep, deep green. All right. So let me just give a good example. So I crafted this because I love moldavite and I always keep it close to me. And I wanted to wear it in a way which is inconspicuous. So on one side, it is polished like this. So it looks like glass. It
Hmm.
literally looks like glass. But when you flip it, you can see the texture,
Hmm.
right? And the thing is, I think you can see the green from this angle, right? Like it's deep green. Is the green
Yes. Yeah,
visible?
it's
Yeah, it's green, right?
beautiful.
Yeah. And then
Yes.
in contrast, this is tektite, which is completely black and it's actually very, very mm, dark. That's why it looks black. But if you shine a very powerful light through it, it's actually a very deep, dark brown. Yeah, so it's not entirely opaque. It's just really, really dark. Yeah, so for moldavite, it's the green version, and it's only found in the Czech Republic, Czechoslovakia, and that area. And the thing is that this material is now, how do I say, not mined because each time it is mined, it causes a lot of destruction on the land. Like people leave the mining pits open, so people fall into the hole, they get hurt. So it's very disruptive. And also the fact that basically, okay, for moldavites, they are rarer than diamonds because whatever moldavites we have on Earth was only formed from the impact from like millions of years ago. We will not have more moldavite because if there is, I think we'll all die from like a species wipe out from a huge meteor crash. So this was created at a time before humans. And so whatever that can be mined is already here. There is no more new moldavite available. And since mining has now stopped, whatever is existing is all based on current supply that is already in the market or coming from collectors who are releasing their collections. So the thing is because of how much attention Moldavite received because of its good energies, the thing is it's widely faked because the prices have gotten really exorbitant. And the thing is that for any good sized Moldavite, I mean, they can even range from tens of thousands of euros. So the really high end specimens, yeah, expect to pay high prices. But for the general ones, you'll find them in like really small chips and small pieces, really, really small little pieces. Those are affordable, maybe within $100, it's possible to acquire those types. Again, whether or not big or small, I am always of the view the bigger, the more powerful. But again, there are small pieces which can also be very powerful. But again, I leave that to the person to feel and figure it out. But the point is, if you work with Moldavite, you will know whether or not you like it or you don't like it because it is known to be a catalyst for great change. Like for people who have lots of bad habits or who are not very aware, this stone can bring lots of awareness through quite a lot of hard knocks and slaps in the face. So that's why some people are afraid of it. But for people who are ready to change or willing to really feel stone energies, because for most people who can't really feel, moldavite is something very palpable from the outset. So yeah, it's something worth testing out. And the thing is, I guess for moldavite, oh, one thing I like to comment is there's a lot of this spiritual narcissism in the sense that for people to say like, oh yeah, I can wear my moldavite like every day. I am so evolved and developed. Mm, I really don't feel that should be the case because like whether or not you can wear a stone or not does not show how high you are and why are we even fixated on how high or how developed we are if you truly are developed, right? So the thing is that if you are not comfortable with it, don't take it to mean that you are a low vibrational entity. Please don't use such terms on yourself. It is very demoralizing and why are we even using such labels? So it's just more treat it like, is this a material that I'm keen to work on? Is its energy something I enjoy? And there's nothing wrong if you don't enjoy it. Just because it's popular doesn't mean everyone has to love it. And if you love it, then good for you, right? Because to some people, it can feel so soothing, so comfortable. But for some people, it can trigger migraines and headaches. So test it out for yourself, see if you like it. If you like it, good. If you don't like it, then keep it till when you feel drawn to it, then you can take it out and try it again because this material is rare. And yeah, keep some. There's no harm in keeping them.
Yeah, so like there's
That's a nice piece.
so
Yes.
how can you like how would I know if this is real?
Okay, so this is a really tricky bit. So, okay, let me see. I'm trying to see whether I can illuminate this and if the camera will be able to capture. Let me find my light so that I can shine the light through. Okay, so in Moldavite, there is something very distinctive. There will be swirl patterns, which can only be formed when the glass is formed from very high temperatures. So, okay, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
okay, definitely I will not be able to show it through here. I may have to find a way. Okay, if people Google, you can Google like Moldavite special swirl bubbles. Like the bubble is swirled and it's very distinctive, like it curls and it cannot be formed from melting glass. Okay, because a lot of fakes are literally just green glass that looks the same color as Moldavite. And yeah, they just replicate it because now they are so good at making fakes. It's an art.
I had it.
So sometimes when pieces are beautiful and textured like these, um, the unfortunate thing is they are able to make fakes that look like that as well. So the thing is, we
Yeah.
will still need to identify those swirly gas bubbles within. Then you can be assured that it is a natural moldavite. Gas bubbles, not enough because glass also has gas bubbles, but moldavite gas bubbles are
Mm.
very special. So just Google moldavite
Okay.
gas
And
bubbles.
with yours, with because you are a jeweler and you
Mm,
create jewelry, which I think
mm.
is so fascinating, tailor-made specifically for the people for their stone from their Vedic chart. Um, regarding the type of metal that you use, do you only use gold? Do you use silver? Like what, or do you intuitively, how do you know what type of metal to use with the stone?
So the thing is for the astrological usage, because of the requirements of the stones having to be minimum 2 carats in size, natural, untreated, you are literally going to be buying the best in the market. Okay, so in terms of pricing, it will not be cheap because an unheated ruby of 2 carats is 5 figures and above. Okay, and
Wow,
it
yeah.
all depends on what the associated planet you are required to support or appease. Okay,
Mhm.
and the thing is, okay, let me break this down further. Mm, regarding the Vedic astrological process, okay, in order to prevent a conflict of interest, I use a Western medical approach of sorts, where first you have to see a doctor to diagnose the issue, and then you head to the pharmacist for your medication. So, in this process, the astrologer is the doctor. They have to see your birth
Mhm.
chart and then diagnose you need this because of this, based on your requirement, this can help you. And then when they have given that diagnosis, you come to me to get the gemstones, which are the prescriptions, to have it set at the correct time for your correct finger in the correct style, such that it will be in the correct usage. All right. Because the thing is this, why this separation of interest is important. There are many astrologers that will read your charts but aim to sell you the jewel because the profits that they can make is a lot more from the gem side. So think about this. If they're doing a reading for you, they give you a report, they may charge you a few $100s, but a gem can be 5 figures, right? So it's even more enticing for them to sell you a gem. However, the same reason I respect an astrologer to have at least 20 years of experience for them to be even qualified to give a proper reading, they do not have that amount of experience in gemstones because gemstones are a field of study of their own. So you cannot have them selling you stones because, first of all, you will question, are you diagnosing me so that you can sell a particular stone? That's one question. The other
Mhm.
thing is the stone you're selling me even of proper quality? Because there are many people who have like traditional astrologers and whatnot who just say, yeah, you just buy this stone off of me. And then when they show it to a lab and then it turns out to be, oh, it's glass or oh, it's a synthetic. I mean, for the astrologer, a ruby example, they may not have realized that there could be synthetic lab-grown rubies versus natural earth-grown rubies. Because to
Mhm.
them, a ruby is a ruby, right? Chemically, they're similar. It's sold as ruby. So these are all the common buying mistakes that people tend to fall into. So astrologer, please find a good qualified one. Okay, if you know your own, like because there are people who have families that have seen this family of astrologers for like generations, then please, it's good because you have someone that's credible and you trust. So find your own astrologer, get them to do the reading. But when it comes to gemstones, please find someone that can choose for you astrologically suitable gems because there are many fakes out there. And besides the fakes, the process of creation is just as important. A lot of jewelers can make beautiful jewelry, but if you tell them like, oh, you need this done at like a certain moon phase, you want it done on the full moon, you need it done at this specific hour, you have to chant this mantra, they will look at you like you're crazy. I'm not going to do that, and like, yeah, you do it yourself. So the thing is, because for me, when I started working with stones and when I bought crystals and jewelry from other people, let's say a necklace that was ready made, I could feel the frustration or the negativity the person had when he made it. Like it was like, oh, I just want to make money, so they just threaded the thing. And then when I
Mhm.
wore it, I could feel that stranglehold of those emotions. So that was the point I told myself, okay, you know what? The intention and the quality that is required is very important when crafting something. You cannot be thinking of such things when you craft it. You won't be like, what's my profit margin? Can I like squeeze more? Is this like, am I undercharging? Can I charge more? So I mean, if when you're sensitive to energy, you can feel all these things, right? So the Vedic prescriptions also involve a certain amount of self-reflection. So if you're going to craft it, the person wearing it can feel it. So for the more sensitive, the healers, they know what is clean versus what is commercial, right?
Yes. No, I totally agree with that. That's awesome. And let's say I want to find this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to contact you because that would be the easiest way to do it. So how could people contact you to be able to get this process started?
Okay, I have
How can they reach you?
a Instagram page and it is called Then Creations because my surname is Then, Then, and Creations. So yeah, if you give me a message over there, I'll be sure to respond to you. Or you can also drop me an email. My email address is the opposite, which is creationsthen@gmail.com. But no worries, I'll be sure to type it out so that yeah, it's easy to reach out. Yeah.
Phenomenal. Yeah. And I've seen some of your work too, and I think it's incredible. The Moldavite
Mm,
ring too was just beautiful. So yeah, I would encourage if people are really struggling and also being an empath, like you mentioned, you really struggled for a long time. And people don't realize when they are an empath that they absorb so much of other people's stuff and they feel so much. It really feels like it's your own. Like it feels like it's your own stuff. It may cause some feeling like you're depressed or some people, I mean, could even go to the extremes and have certain thoughts that they normally wouldn't have
mm,
because they are absorbing so much from other people. What I love about this is it gives an empath a way to be able to, again, like we kind of talked about before, take control of their own life instead of feeling like life is controlling them. Is there one stone in particular that someone could grab right now if they're an empath and they're like, wow, I'm really struggling. I feel like I'm overwhelmed and I just feel like, I just can't breathe or there's just so much going on around me. What would be like one stone you think could be a go-to stone for an empath?
Actually, there are four, and I would leave it to the person to choose because I'm going to describe what they do.
Okay.
And these four are basically what I feel to be the most helpful because think about it, if you enter a crystal store, there are so many crystals, right? You can't possibly buy everything. So if you just start with these four, I'm sure you can find something that will more or less be what you would most need. Yeah, because a lot of times, a lot of people will talk about what being an empath is, but don't really give anything to help the condition. And
Mm.
the thing is that with stones, you don't have to believe them. You can just try it on, and these are inexpensive, so you can still find a tumbled version you can carry in your pocket. You don't have to spend a bomb, or you can even buy like crystal bracelets and wear them. Okay, so this is part of a philosophy I call the empath's Earth suit because astronauts have to wear a space suit to suffer, to
Mm.
basically not suffer in space, right? To keep them safe. But empaths are the opposite. We are on Earth and it's really suffering, and we need our own Earth suit to protect us from all the nonsense that we feel. So, starting from protection, all right, it is actually from a mineral family called prehnite, and it comes in two different colors. One is green prehnite. Can you see this very glassy looking bead?
Yes.
Okay, so let me show you how it looks like in a crystal form. This This great light thing is actually a natural prehnite crystal. So this is called botryoidal in crystal growth because it's like round and lumpy. This is how it's naturally formed. Can you see? This is a natural prehnite
Mm-hmm.
crystal. Okay, so if you go to a crystal store, you can pick out a rough prehnite crystal, or you can find like a prehnite crystal bracelet, and yeah, just hold it close. Either keep it in your hands, keep it in your pocket, or just wear them as a bracelet. And what this does, it's kind of like a barrier. So think about it like having a fence around you because whenever we enter any space, we tend to pick up all the projections, all the nonsense that is there. But when you have prehnite, it literally gives you a boundary space. So you can feel there is like a bubble around you. And you don't have to visualize this. You just wear it on, it will just do the work. If you're an empath, this is a wonderful stone to have. It's automatic. I'm sure you will definitely feel it. And the thing is, this is like the guard dog energy. I know a lot of people talk about black tourmaline or talk about other grounding stones to protect it, but please just try prehnite. This one is a game changer. If you use this, I think you'll feel a lot more relief and your heart will feel a lot more supported. Okay. And so this is green prehnite. So this is the one that creates the boundary. There is golden prehnite, yellow.
Mm-hmm.
So what this does, they are synergistic. Okay. So let's say if people have literally already gotten under your skin, right? Their energy has already gone through. This is the vitamin C that will purge out the infection. So this and this is like the fence, and then this is like the vitamin C to flush them out. Okay, so having them both together is a very restoring, very protective shield as well as revitalizer. So if you're an empath, highly, highly recommend these two. Please just try them. Yeah, they don't have to be expensive. So the nicer pranites, as you can see, they are very glassy. The not so nice ones may look very included, very cloudy with inclusions. It is also fine. You can also try them and see what you enjoy more. Because the main thing, before spending so much money on anything, you can always try the cheaper version and see whether or not it works for you. No point spending big amounts of money on things that have no effect. Okay, so remember this practical part. Okay, so the first one was prayer night. Now, let me bring on the second one because this is not so much on protection, but because as empaths, we feel so much, we cannot tell what is actually ours. Like sometimes that fear or frustration may not even be yours. It could be that lady sitting next to you or your aunts or your dads, and then you internalize this as your own. So it gets really confusing. So what I recommend is Larimar. This is a very beautiful blue stone. It looks like the ocean. However, how this works is that it really helps to separate between what is yours and what is not yours. So if different thought forms come in or different emotions and sensations, this can help clarify like, okay, is this mine? Is this not mine? What is this here for? What's the purpose? Very good clarity. Okay, so try out Larimar. Larimar, just take note, they may not have to look as beautiful as this to work because the nicer they are, the pricier they get. Just make sure you buy a natural Larimar because there are other crystals that are blue, like blue aragonite, that looks very much like tumbled Larimar, but it's not. Okay, so check with your crystal store and they can advise you. All right. So Larima is the second one. And then another one that I highly recommend. Okay, hold on. Let me pull it out. Where is it? Yes. So I did show a snippet of it just now. It is pink opal. So this
Mm-hmm.
is how tumbled pink opal looks like. This is the raw form. You can see the skin. This is how it's mined. So pink opal actually comes from the Andes, the South American mountain range. And the thing is that they may not look as pink as this, but the faint ones will also work because empaths always give so much. This is
Mm-hmm.
the oxygen mask on yourself before you save others. It's to replenish you, it's to heal you, and it's to stop giving so much. And if you give so much, this will help you to take care of you. All right. So try this out. It's a very loving stone. I know rose quartz has always been promoted as the most powerful healing stone, but if you're an empath, please try pink opal. Okay, pink opal. And then the fourth one, okay, this one is not so common, but it is a quartz, but this one you need it for its specific formation. It has to be an elasteel quartz. So an elasteel quartz is kind of like how do I describe it? Like a very complex version. It could look like many quartz crystals intergrown together. but they have a very different energy from quartz. If you're an empath, sometimes if you're in a crowded space, if you just clutch onto one, it does help protect and prevent the absorption of other people's energies. So it can also keep you safe. And because it's a quartz that is very supportive, you can also get different insights if you were to work with it. So it's like a wise counsel of sorts. So to be specific to request for elestial. So it's the word celestial without the C. That's the spelling, elestial. Okay, so these four stones, really powerful, but for immediate relief, start with green prehnite. Okay, green prehnite will help you. If you're wearing a bracelet, please, the smallest size is 8 millimeters for beads. Do not wear just one bead. You need a whole bracelet of beads, okay? Because too few crystals, like in those like chakra bracelets, is not going to help you. You need a bigger dosage. So 8 millimeters minimum. If you're a bigger size person, go for bigger beads. You need an umbrella that can really shelter you, okay? You cannot use a martini umbrella while it's like pouring like a storm. You need a golf umbrella. So find a big one and use it and see the difference for yourself. And if it doesn't work, then well, it's not really expensive, so you didn't really throw away that much money. Yeah.
Good to know. I love that. So, me being a medium, I blend with other people's energies and I'm an empath. So, I would think that I would probably, well, I could use all of them, but while I'm doing my work, that celestial quartz might be a great one for me to have
Mm,
because I'm still maintaining the connection, right? And blending the
yeah.
energies, but it's also not, I'm not absorbing it. Does that make sense? Is that true?
Yes, that is true. And also the other thing, I know I mentioned about pranite blocking out people's energies. You can
Mhm.
still feel them, but you won't be bothered by them. So don't worry, it doesn't completely insulate you. No,
Mm.
but it will be a manageable type of sensation. So I call this the train station test. So you know how crowded it is in a train station, right? So in the past, I just feel like I died. Each time I went there, I'm like, okay,
Mm.
I'm dead. But now, like you can try this. You can stand there with your crystal, wear it, see how long you can survive there. If you can last there unaffected, then hooray, the stone is working for you because you're no longer being depleted.
Ah, beautiful. This is going to help so many people, Sean. Thank you so much.
Mm,
Because, like, I bet you anybody who is watching this is going to be an empath,
And
and they're going
also,
to.
for people with really annoying friends or relatives and who always offload on you because you're such a good listener and oh, you're so kind, please wear this when you need them because, yeah, you don't have to be the sponge. And after a while, when you start wearing this and you start realizing, wait, I don't need to absorb that shit. So, yeah, you will start to care for yourself in better ways. So, you have these two and your pink opal, and then, yeah, you're basically very good to go. Yes. And also, there is one other thing. It is not a crystal. Let me find it. Okay, because when I was 8 years old, I did not have money. And if I have no money, I cannot buy crystals. So I know there are also people in situations where it is difficult to afford things like these right now. So I like to share with everyone like a visualization technique, if that's fine with you.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Okay, so this is non-denominational. You don't have to be of any faith group. It is just a mental visualization. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a picture of how the overall effect looks like before we can do a guided visualization together. Okay, so
Yes.
let me just start. Let me just show you how it looks like. So it's a triangle. I call this a triangle technique. We will literally, so this is ourselves, and we will literally envision ourselves to be within a triangle of protection. All right. And the thing is, I encourage people to have a awareness right now of their current state so that before they do this, this is how they feel. And after they do this, how do they feel? All right. So again, no placebo. If it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, then don't waste your time doing this anymore. All right. So let us do this together. If you're not comfortable, just let me say out the instructions first, and then I can repeat it once more and we can do it together. All right.
Love it.
So
Yes.
this one, okay, so let me just say the instructions out first. Okay,
Mhm.
this one, imagine, so this is ourselves comfortably seated or standing wherever, but 6 inches above our head, we will imagine a very bright white dot of light. Okay, so you can imagine to be divine energy, source energy, whatever you call it, God energy there. All right, and we're going to draw it down our left side to our left point, leftmost bottom point, and then we're going to draw it under our feet to the right side. And from the right side, we're now going to draw it all the way back up over our head to that point, 6 inches above our head. Okay, and with that, we'll be within our triangle of protection. All right. So if you like, we can do this together. So
Mhm.
everyone, you can just be comfortable, can stand, just take a mental note of how you're feeling right now, check in with your body, your mind, your heart. Okay, now gently close your eyes, watch your breathing. Now imagine 6 inches above your head, a bright white dot of divine healing and protective energy. You are now going to draw that dot to the base on your left side. And from your base of your left, you're going to draw it under your feet to the base of your right side. And from the base of your right side, you are now going to draw it all the way back up to that 6 inches above your head point, beginning point. And now you are within your triangle of protection. Slowly just feel it, all right? Feel it. And then just come back and open your eyes when you're ready, okay? So just take a mental note. Do you feel anything?
I felt it was interesting because I started getting tingles a little bit towards the end when I was finishing up the triangle, but I love sacred geometry and triangles are phenomenal, right? With sacred geometry and they help amplify energy too. So yes, and then I got a little like not dizzy, but I felt a little I could feel like moving a little bit. It was interesting, but I think it was from creating the energy of the triangle. Very
Mm.
cool.
So this is something I would encourage people to test out for 7 consecutive days because
Oh.
that's how you know whether it works or not, right? So if it doesn't work, so first thing in the morning when you wake up, before you even see your phone, because the moment you check your phone, the messages, there are already energetic cords coming out at you. So draw your triangle when you're in your safe, pristine, clean space, so you know this is you, all right? This is your boundary. So when you face the day, again, because there's so much bombardment, if the lines start to dissolve, just find a quiet corner, re-visualize, redraw the triangle, and just try and see how your day goes. If you have to deal with lots of people, you have to go for meetings. Yeah, this is a game changer because if someone told me this when I was 8, I may not have gone into crystals because it's so effective. Yeah. So anybody and everybody can do this. Try it for 7 days. If it doesn't work, don't bother. And the reason why this is helpful, I would use the analogy of a ship with barnacles. You know how barnacles just attach onto the ship and makes it heavier and heavier so that it starts to sink and really makes it consume a lot more energy to move forward. It's the same for empaths. We have been weighed down by so much for so long. This process actually starts the removal of those barnacles because not just protecting yourself, you'll be starting to clean off, like literally like a knife, just cutting it off, cutting off whatever no longer serves. So I highly encourage doing this because after a while you realize there are so many things that you thought were things you were meant to do actually just start to no longer make sense because you're like, wait, those aren't my ideas in the first place. So that's how deep those cords and attachments have been that it got ingrained in us. So when finally doing this, so I've been doing this for at least 5 years right now. And honestly, it's helped with lots of clarity because I've dropped all the other nonsense, which isn't mine to carry in the first place. Yeah, so I wish everybody that does this, yeah, more peace in your life. And yeah, may this help you. Yes, this doesn't cost a cent. You just need 3 seconds of visualization. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Who doesn't have 3 seconds, right? If you don't have 3 seconds of time to give toward yourself, then there's an issue.
Mm.
You're not
And if it doesn't work,
prioritizing.
yeah. And if it doesn't work, don't bother with it, okay? Think of it as just another tool.
Yes, absolutely. And there's so many tools, just like, different doctors, you mentioned doctors, there's so many different medications that can help one ailment if you're treating a physical condition. Same thing with crystals and using different healing modalities to help yourself.
Mm.
Speaking of, you gave me this wonderful idea when I was moving, and I don't want to butcher this. So can you please tell everybody what this is? He made this for me, just so you know. Go ahead,
Okay,
Sean.
so
What is this?
that's a rudraksha, all right? It is actually a natural plant material. And in fact, it is actually a seed pod. So it actually comes from the fruit of a particular tree called the Eliocarpus genitrus rox. So that's the scientific name. So it's a rudraksha tree. And the thing is that this has a very beautiful story, right? Let me just show you the illustration through. the video with a close up of another seed so people can see the natural lines.
Mm.
All right. So um, let's start with the name. All right. So this is called a Rudraksha. So this is one of the treasures that comes from the Hindu civilization. So the word Rudraksha is a compound word. It is made up of the name Rudra, which is a incarnation of Lord Shiva, and Aksha, which represents tears. So it is Lord Shiva's tears. Now, why this? Because when Lord Shiva was in the incarnation of Rudra, he was in very deep penance and meditation. One day he opened his eyes and he saw the earth and all the suffering of mankind. Out of compassion, he shed this tear that grew into the Rudraksha tree, and this Rudraksha tree bears fruits from 1 all the way to 21 lines. So the lines on the surface, these are called mukis. So the more lines, so this has 5 lines, so this is a 5 muki. All right, so it grows from 1 to 21, and there are even the rare ones which go beyond 21. But the main thing is each different muki solves a different ailment or sadness in human life. So, example, ignorance. Ignorance is a cause of a lot of suffering. So, 5 muki represents awareness. So, this is the solution for ignorance because by wearing it, one's awareness gets enhanced. All right. And there are other mukis with different purposes, like some for marital relationships, some for focus, some for removal of obstacles. But again, Rudrakshas are very potent energetic tools, just like crystals. However, they do not need programming because they are naturally programmed by nature to function in the way that syncs with the wearer. So it's like a wise tool that, like a running companion that follows your pace. Yeah.
Love this. And you did it for
Mm.
me. You suggested this because I was moving and I needed some peace. And you said to wear it by my heart.
Mm.
And it's funny, you said not to let anyone touch it. It's funny. I went to go show it to my aunt. She went to touch it. I was like, no, you can't touch it. Sean told me I can't let anyone touch my stone. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for observing that. Okay, so there's a reason for that. Because think of this as a iTunes playlist. You would not want someone else to sync their iTunes with your iTunes because it screws up your playlist and you hear things you don't want. So it's a very personalized playlist. So you want to keep it that way because it's structured for your own curriculum. So that's how I like to explain it rather than saying, oh, you dirty it and all that. Nah, let's not put it in such an ugly term. Just say it's not suitable for you. That's all. So you just want to keep it to your own self, to your own style. And you'll notice there's this hole in the middle. So this is where the stem of the fruit is connected. But at the bottom side, you also notice this hole at the bottom, right? So this isn't
Mhm.
drilled. This is naturally occurring. So that's why they said this was created by nature for mankind to wear. Because all we have to do is just clean up the hole and we can already thread the string through it such that it could be worn. And this is the only fruit that has this central stem that goes through the entire length of the fruit, where it can just be cleaned out and strung as a bead. And why this is more useful as a wooden prayer bead, perhaps per se, because a lot of wooden beads are made from trees that are dead, right? Like if you cut off the piece of wood, it's no
Mhm.
longer living, right? It's dead. But this is literally a seed pod. So remember, I mentioned there are 5 lines. So
Mhm.
each line actually contains one seed. So there are 5 seeds in this seed pod. So technically, this thing is a living thing because if you were to plant it, it grows into a tree. However, it takes a really long time to grow. So I recommend you just buy the seed. Yeah. And the thing is, it regulates the person's energy. So that's why, like, each different muki, so it has 6 mukis, for example, it has a different energy than a 5 muki because there are different numbers of seeds within the seed pod.
Mhm.
Mm,
Love that. Yes, thank you so much. And I would encourage people to get that from you because I know we discussed this before. There are different people who can actually manipulate it, and they're not real seeds,
mm,
but they have altered them, if you will, to make it look like um,
yes.
the original.
So
So,
the thing is, even though these are wooden and these are natural, the thing is because of the economical value, people will carve lines into the seed, such that if it's a 5, they may carve another 5 more lines and sell it as a 10 muki because a 10 muki costs more than a 5 muki because it's more rare. It doesn't occur as often. So when it comes to like the higher mukis, like a 21 muki, those can cost $40,000 or more. So you would imagine, yes, I mean, people wouldn't realize that, right? But these are rarities. So for an energetic perspective, I mean, if you buy a fake, then yeah, it's not going to do anything much for you. But it's just such a shame, right, that you got scammed. So, five mookies are still generally common. Okay, I would highly recommend people buy the Nepal variety because the bigger the seed, the more developed the seed. The bigger the seed pod, the more developed the seed, and it is the seed that you need. So same thing like the umbrella analogy I gave earlier. You want a bigger umbrella, right? So with a bigger seed, it can support your energetic field more effectively. And same like stones, where this touching your skin, like I know people say that you can wear it like a pendant and all that. Yes, you can, but try wearing against your skin. It does affect your own electric circuit. And the thing is, if you wear this over the heart, you can feel how calming it literally feels.
Mhm.
Yeah. Again, test it out for yourself. You don't have to believe me. And the thing is, for what I do is that, so this is an example of an unopened seed pod. The stem holes are still not yet cleaned out because sometimes when these are prepared, people actually use power drills to just drill through them. But what happens is that the risk of damage is really high because the drill bit may not go down straight, it may go sideways, and you may damage one of the seeds in the pod. But they won't tell you that, right? They'll just say, yeah, it's
Mhm.
a five mookie, you bought it, so just wear it. Same thing with stones, right? You want a ruby. I don't care whether it's synthetic, it's heated, it's a ruby, so I'm just selling you a ruby. So it's just more about the care that goes into preparing because these are lifelong tools. Like you literally don't have to buy more. You just use one and take care of it, and it lasts as long as you live, basically. Yeah, just don't wear it to the shower because soaps are poisonous. So, like a living tree, right? Like you're not going to put soap, you're not going to put chemicals. Don't put essential oils. Please don't do that. It will really harm the seed. Just put coconut oil or olive oil whenever you see that it's starting to look dry or when it's starting to grow mold. Because sometimes with our sweat, right?
Mhm.
Wood tends to grow mold in humid environments. So yeah, just put coconut oil, olive oil, and it'll be fine. Yeah.
Does it kill
And
the mold when you do that?
it keeps them at bay. Like they will not come back until if you leave it for a really long time again, then it will grow back. Yeah, because the fact is you're just suffocating them with the oil, right? Because if you wash it with
Ah.
water, the thing is that the water could still be inside, like it's not completely dry. And sometimes when these are exposed, because it is still wood, insects can still be attracted to them to want to go in and eat the seeds or the bead. Yeah, it happens. That's why I would normally suggest keep it in an airtight container or a Ziploc if you're not wearing it because you want to make sure the bugs don't get in.
This is what you sent it with a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful velvet velvet case too. So now, and I'm allergic to mold. So by
Mm,
putting the olive oil over there, would that stop it in case there is
olive
mold?
oil or
Or
coconut
the
oil, it's
coconut
fine.
oil?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. And what do? You told me the first thing you said is don't get it wet, right? Um,
Oh, and don't worry about wearing it while exercising. Actually, it's highly recommended to have this on as much as you can. So the only time I recommend removing it is when swimming or when showering. Because swimming, it could be chlorinated water, it could be
mm,
seawater, and both are poisonous to the seed. And then if you're showering, there'll be shampoos and whatnot, again, toxic for the seed. So these are just common sense plant care advice, right? It's just so don't worry too much about the do's and don'ts because I know like the traditional view, some people say, oh, only men can wear this, women should not wear. But at the end of the day, think about this, just like crystals, these are naturally occurring things which are meant to help and support mankind. So why not just take advantage of them and just use it? And if it doesn't work, then don't use it anymore. But if it does, then you have a helpful companion. And for people who are doing meditation, who need help focusing, or to deepen their focus, oh, you'd be surprised what these can do. And if you're a student, it also helps with the learning as well as memory retention. I know it sounds crazy, like saying like, oh, wearing a wooden thing can help, but test it out yourself. Yeah.
and I could use some of that. Interestingly enough, you mentioned meditation. When I first got this, I meditated with it, and it was, well, it was actually, I'm sorry, you sent it to me, and then we had our conversation through Zoom, or about crystals and whatnot. So I had meditated prior to that day with my stone here, and I want to call stone. I don't know, my
Wooden seed.
wooden
Yeah.
amulet, if you will,
Yeah.
I guess.
Mm,
Um, and so I was meditating right before I got on the Zoom with you, and the first thing I saw was the seashell, which reminded me of Pi, of how everything is in not only divine order, but it is also in perfect order in terms of design, right? That it's all everything is has symmetry, which reminds me too of lines going out connecting to synchronicities, which synchronicities led me to you, which I'm so happy about. And then right at the end of our conversation, you said, I want to show you something. And the crystal grid that you have in the background, which I love, had the very same shell that I saw in my meditation ahead of time. So, which I thought was phenomenal. And there's a story behind that as well. Your the grid that you have, correct?
Mm. So, yeah, that was a very interesting conversation that we had and very unexpected. So behind me, this artwork was actually created by a very gifted crystal healer friend of mine. And basically, this is Metatron's cube. And in the center of it, this fossil is actually called an ammonite. So I'm just going to show you how it looks like from here. This is the fossil. It looks like a snail shell, yes, like a seashell, right? So these are actually formed from a very ancient animal. We still have these. They are called the nautilus, but the ancient ones that have already fallen to the seabed and got crystallized are called ammonites. So they are in the perfect golden ratio. Again, these are very powerful grounding tools. So if you're an empath, you feel off-centered, and sometimes you just want more strength and reassurance and endurance, go find an ammonite. The ones from Madagascar are lovely. This is Madagascar. This one has a slightly dissolved tip. I love it because it actually shows the inner crystal of these are actually all gas chambers within the creature itself. So when it fossilized, you can still see the natural parts of the gas chamber. Yeah, so I love this because this shows time, right? The beauty of time and how much it reveals. But anyway, any ammonite, so long as it's a good size and you feel connected to it, yeah, keep it close. It's all about perfection, divine ratio, grounding, and yeah, it supports, is very supportive. So anyway, back to the grid. So this was created with lots of love by my friend, and it has been a companion through the different healing sessions I have with people, because I feel like a lot of times in what we do, we are always guided, and it's to establish that own guidance and to find out how we can be connected and to trust the guidance that comes from there, because the results are not for us to decide, but it goes where it needs to go, and just trust that process. Mm.
That's beautifully said, Sean. Thank you. And also, too, let's say you can't afford a crystal, you can't get one right away. I will actually call in the energy of a crystal to kind of have that energy with me, just like you could call in a color or a deity or an angel, anything like that. So if you're in the process of purchasing one, you're like, oh, I have to have this, but you can't get it right away, just throw it out there. Just maybe say, you know what, I call in the energy of amethyst or
Very
the
nice.
prenite. That's what I was just getting ready to say. Yes, because that's a great one to use. And I did not know that about empaths using that stone. So thank you so much. I'm sure that's very valuable advice for our viewers as well, um, to be able to use that as a shield and for energy too to help them. And I know that there are so many empaths right now, and they're much needed on this earth to go through certain changes that we're going to go through. And whether you call them earth angels, empaths, either way, it doesn't matter. Even though it feels like it's a curse to be an empath, it's really a gift and it's a superpower when you know how to use it. So you having these tools is just priceless, Sean. And plus to be able to go to someone who is trusted, who you know is going to give you some really good quality, not just the gemstones, but your advice, and you're so true and so real and genuine, which is really difficult to come by these days sometimes too. So when I come across anyone like yourself, I love to be able to, share them with the world. So I'm really excited for people to see this. So thank you for taking the time out to talk to us today.
Mm. Thank you,
We,
Connie.
yeah.
Actually, just as how you mentioned about calling in the energy of the crystal, please also remember you also have the triangle technique. So if you can, you call in the crystal and you can also do
Yes.
this. Okay. So yeah, just do this. Everybody can do this. All right. Because sometimes when I find myself without a crystal and in need of extra protection, yeah.
Perfect.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's free. That's free. So it
Yes.
doesn't cost a thing. It's just 3 seconds of your time. And the beauty of this is we're also recording this on 11/11, which is phenomenal energy. So if you are viewing this on 11/11, it's even amplified. So it doesn't matter. Even if you're viewing it afterwards, you're still going to get that extra added energy. So that's wonderful too. Love it.
Oh, and the other thing, okay, thank you for sharing about my work. But for people that plan on reaching out, please give me a bit of time because a lot of what I do is by myself in the sense that I have to pick the stone, I have to do the setting, I have to meet the client to understand their requirements. So it may take a while because it's a very handheld process. And I know this limits me because I know a lot of it is like online shop and just post things, but most of what I do is custom made because it's kind of like traditional Chinese medicine. You have to meet the person before you can recommend the herbs and you know like okay this herb will help you. I'm not just gonna like pass you this and like you just figure it out on your own. No, I will still have to sense that person, feel them, and then like okay use this can support you. So that part takes a bit of time as well. So yeah, please forgive me if the wait may be a while because a lot of times even the choosing of stones also takes time. Like I don't decide like oh you're gonna have this because I just want to sell this. No, if the stone doesn't make sense to me, then how do I say this? But every time if I have to meet my suppliers and they have like hundreds of stones on, they just bring it out and they just show it to me. I mean, just choose one because out of all of them, only that one makes sense. Like it just calls. That's why I may be a bit slow, and also the making process because it takes a few hours, a few days, depending on what needs to be made. And I have to see certain astrological cycles, different planet placements, again, depending on what the talisman requires. So, yeah, these are my time constraints. So, yeah, if I can help and work with the request, I'll definitely do so. But if I do take too long to reply, then, yeah, please, I seek your understanding of this. Yeah.
Great advice. Yes. And thank you for letting us know ahead of time. And it's because what I love about this is you know that when it is your turn, if you contact Sean, you know you're going to get that personal attention that's
Mm.
just for
Thank
you.
you, everyone, for taking the time to join us in this conversation today. And as with every opening, there shall also be a closing. So I invite everyone to just be comfortable and gently close your eyes so that we can do a closing prayer. Whatever name you address the divine, just use that in your mind, all right? I'm just going to use Dear God and Dear Source. So let us be centered. Dear God, dear Source, thank you for your work through us today. Thank you for the courage that was needed to share what was needed to be said. And thank you for granting us the wisdom to understand and integrate the lessons. May the blessings be.
And so it is. Beautiful. Thank you, Sean, so much. Thank you for sharing your energy with everyone. And I'm sure there's going to be many more to come with because there's so much we could cover, right? So we briefly touched on some things. And everyone out here who's viewing this, everyone have a magical day and night filled with peace, love, and light. And until the next one, we will we'll just say bye for now. How about that? Bye for now. All right. Thank you.